og lukke vinduerne.
Okay, nu tror jeg, det virker. Jamen, hjertelig velkommen til den her eftermiddag, som hedder Reality Check Deutchland, og som handler om Danish Vibes og det tyske marked. Og vi er rigtig glade for at se jer alle sammen. Og jeg tænker måske, at vi lige starter. Det kan jo også være, at der er nogen, der ankommer sent eller har problemer med at finde lokale 6 i den her bygning. Og lige nu er med til at danse sådan nogle børnedanse inde ved siden af. Og tænker, at det er det, man skal gøre for at kvalificere sig. Så jeg tænker, mens vi lige venter på de allersidste, tager vi lige sådan en runde, hvor man lige kan sige måske sit navn og hvilket band man repræsenterer. Og måske også en genre. Eller i hvert fald hvilken organisation man genremæssigt tilhører den her eftermiddag. Lad os gøre det på engelsk, fordi vi har 2 gæster fra Tyskland, som ikke har haft dansk i skolen. Man kan også vælge at gøre det på tysk. Vi har jo haft tysk i skolen, mange af os. Så jeg tænker, at det er der, vi starter. Og når den så når tilbage til mig, så kan jeg forklare lidt om Danish Vibes, og så kan jeg introducere de andre, mine gæster, osv. osv. Alright, so let's start over here.
I'm Michael. I'm here on behalf of an ensemble called Emil Deval and Spider Robot, and it's jazz.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm also Michael, and I'm here on behalf of a singer called Sulau. She wasn't able to be here today, so here I am, and it's jazz folk. Yeah.
And my name is Michael. I represent myself, singing and playing piano, and and the style is between singer-songwriter, blues, gospel, and jazz.
I'm not Michael. My name is Frederick Lundin, and I am here on behalf of the band Off-Pist Grooves, which is jazz-related. So.
Mm-hmm. My name is Martin Fabricius. I'm here on behalf of myself and the world's largest trio, featuring Matthias Heise on harmonica and Nick Sang on guitar. I'm a microphone player, and we play jazz.
My name is Carlos, and I represent my salsa group called Grupo Song, and we are some from the band, maybe that.
Yeah, I'm Jacob. He's in for salsa and Latin music.
I'm Kat. I'm the manager of the Japanese school piano.
I'm Anders Larsson, and I'm here representing my band Electro Jazz with the jazz end of the stage.
I'm Michael, number. I represent the band Metaphor, duets, world electronic, Arabic, folk music, Norwegian folk music, twisted with drum and bass, house.
And I'm Marie-Lise Rich, and I represent the band Sophisticated Ladies. I'm jazz pianist, so it's jazz.
Ich heiße Rune. Ich bin 35 Jahre alt. That's about what I can say here. I have 2 projects, one called Global Composition, which is a world music project, and I have another project called Body Rhythm Factory, and that's more like a crossover project between jazz world, improvisations, physical music.
My name is Jonas Litt. I'm representing Larika with Deutchland. We play a modern type of ska dance music. My name is Christian. I'm the lead singer of Larika. I would agree ska with disco and gypsy and that sort of stuff.
My name is Lars Meiling, and I'm from Jazz Denmark, which is a stakeholder in this.
It's a really cool band. All the time.
Very versatile.
My name is Jakob Torkild, and I represent myself today. And I actually don't know what kind of music I make. This label manager told me that it's indie alternative avant-garde.
My name is Rasmus Fribo. I'm from the Danish band Hardy Folk, playing Hardy Folk.
And I'm Andreas from the folk music orchestra called Basco. And yeah, it's in sort of the rooty, traditional area of the folk music. And check it out.
My name is Julie Jetland, and I represent the band called Nordens Tone, where I sing in 8 different languages, and it's basically, yes, and it's mostly jazz musicians. And also I have my own solo project, which is featuring, or it's mostly Home Pistol being my producer, and we are giving out a new CD very soon.
My name is Jes Krohmann. Represent a trio called Fiona String Band. We play traditional Danish music, but the piano player is a jazz musician, so it's a little touch there, something.
Okay, my name is Flemming Harrev. I'm representing World Music Denmark, one of the 3 Danish organizations funding Danish Vibes.
Bo Calaby, I'm a sort of English invander in Denmark. Singer-songwriter, I have a band in various trios. It's kind of a bit folky over into the folk rock, that kind of area. So we try a lot of world music too.
My name is Fred Havel. I work for Carsten Janke, Konzertdirektion. This is kind of a company running since 42 years. We do mostly kind of our boss, Carsten, who is kind of still running the company. He's turning 77 tomorrow. And he's one of the largest jazz fiends you will find on the German scene. He's kind of world renowned for his, he had them all, like Herbie Hancock, Sonny Rollins, you know, he did them all, and he's still a fan. And I also work for Reeperbahn Festival, kind of a newcomer festival for up-and-coming artists. It's kind of much more based on the indie rock scene, but it's kind of getting more and more open to other genres as well. I'm in the business since 20 years, and I'm also a musician. And I think I know kind of very, very good about all the aspects you can have on the German market.
Yeah, my name is Anna Tama. I work for Pop-Up Records. It's founded as a music label, but nowadays it turned out to become a 360 agency. So we do PR, we do booking, we are still a music label, we do a bit of publishing, and we are the co-op partner from Danish Vibes in Germany.
Yes. And maybe I should also mention that my name is Søren Møller. I think I forgot that before. And I'm representing Danish Vibes together with Rikke Frisk, sitting right here. And okay, so the form of this...
Just one thing, I think
yes?
some people came in late. Maybe they should...
Oh, yeah. Mikael.
I'm a saxophone player, and I'm here to represent a band called the Coochie Mangoes, kind of an Afro jazz thing.
My name is Dawn, and I represent an architect, Scandinavian architect that play folk, reggae, Afro, whatever, and it's called Fastball.
Okay, great. Thank you all for sharing. So the form, in case you haven't been to this meeting before, it's a very basic form. I'm just going to introduce Danish Vibes, what it is, what we're trying to do, and how we would like to work with you if you get selected. And then after that, it's your chance to ask as many questions as you can about the German market. Because one thing that is the big thing about the Danish Vibes project and the focus on the German music industry is that Germany, of course, as you all know, is a country of 80 million people, and the market is the third biggest music market in the world. So it's bigger than Great Britain. And so, of course, they do things in a different way than what we're used to here in Denmark. So I think you can say in Denmark that the biggest investor in the Danish music industry is the Danish government. And so that gives us some ways that we do things that are done in a completely different way in the German market. And so I hope that over this afternoon you can ask some questions that will give you a chance to see if you are you interested in moving around on this market, because of course it's a lot harder to make 80 million people interested in what you do than what it is to make 5 million people interested in what you do. There are different mechanisms that comes into play, and it takes a lot of work on your side, on the artist side, as well as on your hopefully coming partner in the industry side. So basically what Danish Vibes is all about is that our main goal is to more or less create the connection between you and the German partner that that you hope to get in contact with. So maybe that's not totally concrete, but let's say you already are signed to Sony, then you might not be looking for a record label in Germany, because Sony is already a pretty good record label also in Germany. But then you might be looking for a booking agent in Germany. So then Danish Vibes will start up its engine to figure out what booking agent could be interested in the kind of music you do. And in this process, we partner up with our experts to figure out the size, the genre, everything we can. And from that moment, we start to work on how to put you together with the booking agent. So this moment is, of course, the moment that many people will say is being at the right place at the right time. We all heard these stories about artists performing, and then, my God, this guy from the Rolling Stone magazine was there, and he went back and he talked to this guy, and then this stuff happened and that stuff happened. And so it's basically the same idea, but we're trying to force the right time at the right moment to happen, because we have approximately a year after we start, after your band has become selected. We have approximately a year, so we have to hurry up a bit in order to create the right time, the right moment and the right time. Now, another thing is that if you might have already been the right moment at the right time. This might already have happened for your band, but unfortunately you had all the wrong answers to the questions of the right guy or something like that. So the Danish Vibes starts out with basically giving your band like an intro to strategy, to networking, to branding, to stage appearance, all things that we would think is important for you to say the right thing and do the right thing once you reach the right moment and the right time. So it's like a preparation to that. That's where we start out, and then from that we start looking for the best partnerships that we can possibly think of for your group, and that's kind of a collaboration between the group and Danish Vibes. We come up with all sorts of things. So maybe you have a concert, and the person we're looking for is pretty close to where your concert is at. So we'll invite this person to come and hear you and start pitching this person about why he should come just because we're inviting him. Because this is one of the main things in the music industry, as big as the German one, it's that people don't necessarily do what you tell them. You have to have a good cause in order for things to happen, which is much about the branding aspect. You know, so everything reaches into each other, and this is what we are working on in Danish Vibes. What else can I say? The Danish Vibes ends with, I think, the now famous Danish Vibes showcase, at least in Germany. It's a little famous, at least in Hamburg. Yeah, I'm making it smaller and smaller. But at some point, I think it's famous. But it is famous. And the Danish Vibes showcase is, as you know, it's a showcase. So you perform for approximately 25 to 30 minutes. And before the showcase starts, there's a networking event. And also the band will have representatives within the networking event. At the networking event, and we are very proud of this because we can collect around 120 German industry people we can gather for this event. And that's more than you can get in many other Danish organizations that are trying to do showcasing. So we're pretty proud of our showcase. But bringing these people together, giving them a chance to talk to you, giving them a chance to see you perform is hopefully what will be your right moment at the right time, because now you also know how you should be performing, because you had some stage, you had a stage coach, you know what to say, you know how to brand yourself, your material is in order. Probably Fren will have talked to you about your press material and stuff like that. So that's where it ends. Then after the showcase for next year, we're building in this new thing where we're gonna hold on to you for a little while, with meetings about how's your, now that you tried all this out, how's your strategy working? Do we need to make any changes to a strategy? Is a person that unfortunately was sick that day, but otherwise would be the totally perfect person. He already said that he really loves your band, stuff like that. Then we have a little coda in the end after the showcase to sort of figure out, is this going in the right direction? So for those of you who might think that what I've just said is a little vague, because we don't know exactly what will happen to your band, then I can say that we think in Danish Vibes, and maybe, of course, our experts can correct me if I'm wrong, but we consider an attempt to become famous on the German market. Famous meaning establishing yourself in a way where every time you release a new record, you can have a couple of weeks of touring on the German market. You will have partners in the German market that are helping your record to grow, that are helping your name to be known, so people will show up for your concerts, etc. What was I about to say? Something about vague. Oh yeah, we consider this time a 5-year span. You're working really hard for 5 years. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions to what I've said so far? Do you feel you have an okay view on what Danish Vibes is? Yes?
Yeah, just a little one.
A little one, yes. That's great.
You said that this, the government funds an awful lot of the music in Denmark.
Yes.
Does it also fund this, or is this something?
Yes, this is also funded by the government, yes.
It's not where we have to dig deep in our own pockets to... well, okay, yeah, creatively and hard work, but...
yeah, I mean, it depends.
Sort of admission price, or is it?
Of a what? Of a
admission price.
There's no admission price, no. The things that we offer from Danish Vibes are things that you can... everything is actually... it's a good question. Everything is made to you like an offer, which also means that once you're performing at the showcase, you have the offer of coming to perform for 30 minutes for about 120 industry people. So we are spending our funding on gathering 120 industry people. So we're not spending the funding on salaries. This is a very important fund. There are no salaries. If you come up and say, I have an invoice, I spent 15 hours writing a press message, I want 15 hours of salary or something like that, I'm just going to say, call someone else, or because it's not going to come from us. So it is an investment in a way. And there will be times along the way, there'll be times where maybe, let's say that everything is right except your press photo, that's wrong. And so we might say, okay, let's help you with the press photo with some funding, but really if you want your 7,000 euro press photo with a stylist, maybe you also have to dig in deep into your own pocket. But it might also be the thing, and that's hopefully it will be in a way where once you dig into your pocket, you know that this is actually going to be the game changer, right? So so that's how we look at it. Also, I should add that once you apply, which is also a quite unique thing for Danish, or I think it's a unique thing for organizations in Denmark, which is that we have a German jury that's gonna give you some points, and eventually the bands that are getting the most points are the bands selected. So this is not there's no one you can beat up at a bar in Denmark afterwards, because they're all going to be sitting down in Germany at various places. You have to go to Germany to beat them up. And yeah. So yeah. Any more questions for Danish Vibes? The name is Arne and Fran. And we'll go to the German questions in just a little bit. I just want to know if there are any questions related specifically to Danish Vibes or the process that we are in. You're all good? I did my job pretty well. Great. Okay. So so let's move towards our German experts here, and then and let's go into where should we start? Maybe we should start just giving each of you a chance to explain to all of us what it means to be a market of 80 million people, and how do you work in terms of finding an audience, finding a niche, figuring out a way to go. How do you think when you see new bands, especially foreign bands? Let's start with you, Fran.
Yeah, well, I can start with the story of my own band. When we were touring Germany in 2004, we had a Swedish support band called the White Seeds. And when we toured with them, it was like a 3 weeks tour, including Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. And so I told them, yeah, it's great that we took you guys with us, but I think now you can take us to a proper tour of Scandinavia. And he said, like, yeah, how much time do you have? And I said, yeah, well, 3 weeks or something. He said, well, it's more than a week, then it's done, because you don't have that many cities. So that was what I had to learn. So you can easily make a living out of touring Germany alone, because there are that many people. The market is that big, and the funny thing is the German music scene kind of reinvented itself in, let's say, the early 2000s, because lots of bands were singing in German, and the whole German scene was coming back to life, playing indie rock music or kind of, yeah, singer-songwriter stuff. And now the whole thing started with German hip hop getting more and more popular, and so bands could make a very good living out of that. And I'm befriended with one of the most famous German bands called Tokotronic. They've been around since forever, as it seems, like the like the early 90s they started, and they're still around, and they still make a very good living out of that. So that says something about the longevity in the German market. And once you kind of got your audience, I think the Germans are very kind of true to their artists. If they, like Nils Landgren, probably you know him, a Swedish jazz guy, he just has a tremendous response in Germany, playing kind of Christmas shows in churches. And now it took some time to establish that, because he's known for kind of various other formats like his funk unit and stuff like that. But he just decided to do Christmas tours in small churches, and now we sold out the biggest church we have in Hamburg, the St. Michael Church, with 1,200 capacity. And so the Germans are kind of open-minded if you have the right partner who knows to press the right buttons, because what you also have to know is the market is kind of flooded from every corner of the world. The Americans want to go on there, the English want to go on there, and it might not work all the time. That's not your fault. It's sometimes it's just not happening. I was booking a band called the Jim Jones Review, and they were pretty popular in England, and they just split up like 2 months ago or something, because one of the facts, they did well in France, they did well in Spain, they did well in England, they did well in kind of Poland or wherever. They even toured America, but the German market wasn't happening. They just couldn't get more than 50 people to their shows for some reason. Nobody could explain why. I mean, probably because they're kind of twice as loud than Motorhead, but you never know. But nevertheless, they just kind of didn't make it. These things can happen also, but the more you know the guys you are going to work with, the better they know their market and how to kind of place the band and kind of create what you need to have, like an audience or playing support shows or something. That might be helpful. And of course, it's kind of hard work. It's keeping up the faith even in front of 20 people or something. So I know what I'm talking about. I did it all by myself. And the other thing is in Germany that there's no big funding from the state. It starts to change in a way that we have, of course, Initiative Musik, who kind of fund, if like we have a band called Oracles. I just managed to get them over to CMJ in New York. It's kind of a showcase festival in New York, and Initiative Musik kind of funded that trip for the band. Not all of it, but a certain part, or kind of a substantial sum. This is happening, but it's not like there's a funding that you always have to apply. You will always have to kind of make it through, and you have to fulfill certain requirements. It's quite a bureaucratic task to get that done, and it's not a thing that you can normally rely on. That's the other thing in Germany. So basically, like with my new band, we just completely financed everything on our own, from our own pockets, working and kind of putting money aside to be able to make records. This is how the German market also works. And you don't have to expect like that touring pays off after the first week or something. This is kind of an evolving process. The good thing is you can start over and over again because the country is that big, so you can play kind of the southern part, then you can take the northern part, and then you do it all over again after a certain amount of time. So it's possible.
Yeah, as an indie label, we just know the good and the bad things, like with the bands and record sales. Like maybe just like one of the good stories, we found a Swedish artist called Daniel Norgren at Spot Festival, like in Denmark over here. And I think he had already released 3 albums in Sweden, but nothing in Germany. And so we signed him. And he just had one very good live video, which was like a blue sky playing guitar and just bass drum at the same time, and like amazing voice. And so if you find such an artist with kind of a niche music genre, it just worked out very well. So good response for the first tours. Like I think he toured 3 weeks for the first time all over Germany. And yeah, he keeps growing every day. So in Germany, and record sales are still increasing. That's a good thing. Normally, it's not that way. Like we have signed an artist from the Faroe Islands, also very interesting. Like we're just like unique voice. He has like a very interesting look, a bit like Jesus. And we thought it could be a very good match just and so we worked very hard and spent lots of money in marketing. But in the end, for no reason, because we had good press, we had very good singles to work with, but after the first momentum we had, everything just like went a bit dry and slowly went more and more dry, and so records came back. So like what Finn said, it's a very big market and it's really flooded. So all the bands want to tour in Germany, want to release in Germany. So you need to find the right partners for your music and who can give you the right spots and right places where to play, where to get your profile. And then it could work. But there's no list. I need to do this, I need to do this, and then it can happen. So it's a long-term thing. You have to invest time and of course money. Like as we already said, there's no funding in Germany. Like just 2 or 3 organizations who can help you out, but they are more for the label side, and they just help out with money in marketing or money in production, and that's it. So venues are not funded, and there's nothing like a guarantee fee per musician what you have over here, I think. So
it's not as bad as America. I went to late October. I went to CMJ and we had a showcase at a club in New York called Lit Lounge, and it used to be kind of a hotspot for the '90s blues noise scene in New York City. So I was kind of happy. But what I didn't have in mind is that it was a bit off off Ludlow Street. It was a kind of 15 minutes away, and the thing is, what you have there is they don't give you any food for money. You can, then we all got stamps, all the bands and me got stamps. And I was like, yeah, what's that for? For free drinks. But now you just can get the $4.50 drinks for $3. That's American. You know?
Well, that's American.
In Germany, it's €2 then.
Yeah. Germany, at least in Germany, you get
normally you get like drinks and accommodation, catering, but it depends. It could be a hotel, it could be a band flat, but it could also be private and in some apartments.
Some nerd's place.
It's a nerd's place. Mostly nerd's place, yeah.
Okay, so one thing I just feel that you're both saying that I just want to also make clear to everyone who's here is that so in Denmark, the artists are actually used to doing everything by themselves, all the booking, and there are many are also their own record label and so on. And kind of what I hear that you are saying is that they would not be able to expand to the German market just by saying, okay, I'm just going to add some German phone numbers to my, you do need a partner in order to get anywhere. Or are there actually examples of German bands that are making it all on their own, with their own label, their own everything?
Not really, to a certain extent, because you want to still be able to keep making music and not do bureaucratic things all the time. The administration takes quite a lot of time, and I'm experiencing it myself right now because I'm about to release a record, and it's a nightmare to talk to everybody. And thank God we have a booking agency, thank God we have a label, but apart from them wanting to release a record, it's just no funding at all. We just pay it all off by ourselves. Even the GEMA costs are on our side. So we're still looking for another label, but yeah, well, this is going to happen. But this is kind of the dark side. You don't get funded. You just have to make it work in lots of ways, be creative, and you have to be willing to kind of do it and live with certain setbacks. But at least have in mind, if you're there, if you can make it, if you just have the feeling that you kind of get more and more people each time you come up, I think it's worth the investment because, as I said, the good thing about Scandinavian bands or Danish bands is that in the German kind of mindset, these are labeled as cool. It's where it used to be like the band has to come from the US to be taken seriously, or from England or whatever. This is like Scandinavia has added to that part. So that's kind of probably not the worst kind of starting position. Like say if somebody from Romania wants to try it, or some indie band from Estonia or so, they kind of they can be huge there, but it will just be a novelty act. Whereas Scandinavian music and Scandinavian jazz is always taken much more serious in many ways.
Yeah, I think you can make it till some point. You can do it on your own, and we have a band called Echo Me from Denmark. He's just booking his shows by himself. We released this record over in Germany, but at a certain point you need partners, because at some point you need a release, because without a release, no booking agency will just be interested in working with you, because you need that momentum with the PR results. You need a PR campaign, radio singles, and just something needs to happen before things could get started.
And also maybe Michael, you can also chip in here, but I think also that one of the Danish Vibes experiences from taking part in Jazz Ahead is also that once you have a partner, you have someone else who can walk around and say, I know this amazing group, and you gotta hear them. It's spread this and that. Yeah. You can spread the word, and it's coming from someone else than you. And then if you're an artist on your own, releasing yourself, it's coming directly from you. And I think people seem more skeptical when the artists themselves
because there are so many bands who are just writing those emails.
Yeah.
So and it's always better like what I think one of the first questions was where we find bands or new artists, and of course we are just searching for bands and see them live somewhere, or just clicking around Spotify and just listen to music. But mostly it's that some partner from Denmark, from UK, or just sends an email. I've got this band. This is very interesting. Just listen to that music.
It's like a recommendation letter in lots of ways, or kind of a sign of quality, because if somebody you trust kind of stumbles over a band and recommends them, it just makes you more open, even though you would have kind of sent them away. But then if they come back through the back door because somebody they know who knows you, it might be a completely different deal. Yes.
And in the daily business, just when you get emails from, hello, I'm Mr. blah blah blah, and just like this, listen to my band. It's like, okay, I have my daily business. I can't just listen to all the bands all the time. But if someone recommends you, it's like a better.
It sounded so good when we started 20 years ago.
Yeah, maybe,
listening to bands, and now we don't have the timing. But it's, yeah. And on the other hand, you can book your own tours, but the thing that's even hard for Germans, because there's so much going on in every city. You don't know what kind of, if there's kind of 2, 3 or 4 kinds of jazz clubs in a city. You just have to pick the right one, and because you can easily kind of have some pitfalls by playing the wrong clubs. It's just not, you don't need to have some club playing. For an indie band, it's very crucial in Hamburg to play the Molotov, probably. I mean, that's an easy example because everybody knows about the club. But then again, it's just, there are many clubs and they're kind of closing down, reopening, there are new clubs, and to keep track of that, you need a partner who kind of has the broader vision. Otherwise, you end up having a 3 weeks tour in Germany with all the wrong places, and that wouldn't do you any favor.
In tiny dark bars somewhere, out of town.
Out of town. Yeah, and on the other hand, it's very important to kind of come up with the right size. You know, nobody does himself any favor playing a 300 capacity club when, you know, like the expectation would be like 25 people. So go smaller, make it cozy, get the message across, really play to the people instead of kind of being embarrassed playing to some walls with certain people standing around. That's kind of translate the whole, what you're about, and start small. That's what I'm trying to say. Or do support shows or something. This is also very good.
Yeah, it's better to think of a like a long-term process than just like want to make 3 steps in one.
Yeah,
just like build the band, build a fan base, and then the market could be really just grow with you. And that's I think that's the better part. Just like to go that direction.
Yeah,
I'd like to know, now you're talking about building a fan base. How would you feel that it works best right now for artists in Germany? How to build their fan? You know, is it like getting them to sign up for a newsletter at a website, or is it like Facebook or Twitter, or how do you normally feel like it is right now in Germany?
I mean, obviously, if you, of course, the work needs to be done beforehand. You just have to be playing somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
There are lots of smallish festivals, even for jazz musicians, that they can play just to you know, you just don't have to rely on just one thing. There are several, but you have to have somebody who can get you on there. That's the main thing. And afterwards, when you start to feel that you're getting a momentum, or there's something going at least, or you kind of have the dedication to, now we want to really be serious about the German market, then it would be the time to, we have an artist from Netherlands, what's his name? Just passed me by lots of things, and it just passed me by. But he's doing all his press, all his Facebook posts are in Dutch, and we just told him, it's not the greatest thing to retweet. You know, we can only do so much if you know, we don't have the time to translate it all the time. And Scandinavians, thank God, they're kind of very capable of speaking very good English, and they can get that across. And it doesn't sound embarrassing. So this is one point, you know, because as a German band, people ask you, why are you writing in English? Because you're normally catering for your own market, and it wouldn't make any sense. But I think this is one point to talk to a kind of the world, if you will. But you have to do small steps in any way. So it doesn't make any sense to kind of have now kind of switching Facebook to English and expecting the German market to react to that. No, this, of course not. But you can do some things trying to get, like what I said, to get some support shows. See how, you know, what my band did. We played like several support shows, and you actually kind of feel certain cities reacting to your music better than others. So you skip Stuttgart next time and play Munich instead. You know, just figuring out where something is in the air or not.
Yeah.
And
but when you then the reason why I'm asking is that I'm playing 4 or 5 showcases in Germany in the beginning of next year, and I would really like to know what your experience are when you play these concert showcases. That audience, you can feel that they like the music and they would, appreciate to hear you some other time. How do you normally find the best way to get them in the net?
Showcase festivals are a beast. The thing is, because you have industry people, like kind of bored industry people, all the way kind of being chucked into one kind of room with a couple of bands that expect them to do wonders for them. So it's probably, what do? You just have to be sure of what you're doing, and you just have to blend it out in lots of ways, that there are these industry people. You just don't have to talk to them like, and the next tour is going out to that guy, stay in the room. This is just not, you just have to do your thing. And the more authentic or the more kind of effortlessly it comes across, people will normally respond to that. And then the work starts. Then you have a partner who kind of can retweet your stuff and who can kind of build connections to the media, because of course they need to promote the shows and they have a financial interest to get people going. Whereas on your own, you just go there and hope for the best in many ways. Same thing. I just had the experience with a German band, Oracles, in America, and they just flew over like 5,000 miles to play for like 30 people in New York. That's kind of not very rewarding. So you have to do the homework before. You just have to, if there are potential partners, just write to them that you're playing, and if they can make it to this festival, they can probably make it to the next one. And you just have to kind of get to them, so that they know, it might have passed me by, but now I know for certain this band is playing at that festival at that time. Don't kind of write them 3 times a day, but just make sure, and never, always stay friendly. Another good thing. And then you might just get somebody in. But there's not one way.
My question was not as much as all the business people, because you were talking about building up fans. So it's not showcases in that way that it's only business people that will be on. So I'm not going to take up for time here. But
no, it's all right. But I think
it's just great to know what kind of thing that the German audience respond to. If you say, in the far end of this venue, you find the CD shop and you can sign up on our email list, or go to Twitter or go to Facebook, or what normally works when a jazz band or world band or what always is helping is to kind of many bands come on stage. I mean, it depends. Showcase festivals, you just have a rented backline, you don't have a backdrop or something. That's kind of very hard, especially if you have a band like we saw Avengin, and before you kind of explain that name, the momentum is gone. So you just have to read it and read it and read it. So you just have to do something. Just make sure that people know when you're on stage what the name of the band is. That's kind of important as well. So they might want to look it up if they like it. That's one thing. Just don't go on anonymous hoping that they will kind of search for you. That's one thing. Make it easy for the people to kind of be able to find you on the net.
Yeah, and then I think it's still Facebook, which is quite very important, that you can just really focus people on that, and people will respond if they liked it. And it's still email lists. Like I think Twitter is not that big in Germany. So I'm better try via Facebook and still web page, and then just newsletters, and just keep, and I think it's very important just to keep these email addresses, because maybe Facebook will be gone someday, and then what to do then?
One morning.
It's gone.
Yes, Rasmus.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the sub-markets of Germany, because it is a huge market. I mean, do you see of course there are sub-markets.
Yes.
Geographically, but maybe also
genre.
The genre, but also different ways. What are your experiences with different sub-markets in Germany?
That's what I'm saying with the clubs. Basically, the thing is, you have of course you have a huge club landscape, but you have to pick the right ones for the right band. That's basically where you have the promoters have to know where they can place a band that they will even have the chance to play reach an audience. They might be interested in them. That's one thing. I think it's like the most crucial part, to play the right club in the right city, to put it this way. And for the first time, just don't make it too big, because otherwise it kind of backfires. But there are, of course, there are sub-markets. Obviously, jazz isn't like the biggest thing you could sell in Germany. That's the normal thing. But nevertheless, there are musicians making a living out of playing jazz in Germany. So that kind of works. But you have to get into there's not one way. You just click the 7 boxes and you're in. It's always hit and miss and trying out. But it's also very important to get to the right clubs and the right audience in the right cities. There are some cities who just don't even have a big jazz scene, and promoters will know that, or will know that there's probably a club that's like Baden-Baden or something, where mostly older people live. So you just have kind of bigger sized houses, and you will do like Festspiel Haus Baden-Baden when you have Herbie Hancock on the board, but not necessarily for a small band seeking for an audience. Stuff like that. So this is kind of very important to see what cities you have experiences with, and that's something you can't figure out on your own from Copenhagen, unless you have people you can ask. Does it help?
Well, yeah, so I know you can generalize a lot about different areas.
It's very hard to put it all into kind of a 3-minute answer.
But also you can say that because the country is so big, the sub scene is also so big that you can actually make a strategy for the sub scene, which is a huge difference to at least the Danish jazz scene. If you want to what's your strategy towards 21 Deutchland jazz organizations arranging concerts, which is, once you played them, you can't play them for the next 2 years, because they're supported on the basis of how wide a range of musicians they can actually present. So it's not so much about how many people. If your concert is sold out, it will still be 2 years before you can come back to the same organization and perform again, because then they have to go through 2 years of presenting other bands, because they're only doing 16 concerts a year, and so, which that makes strategy really hard, because your strategy has to be, okay, I'm gonna go to as many organizations as I can this year, and then next year I'll try with another band. So you always have to broaden yourself out, creating as many bands as you can. This is, now you're the audience to my talk.
Jazz question.
But totally jazz question. But anyway, but I think the sub-market advantage is that with the same band you can actually have a strategy that lasts many years.
So like there is an audience for nearly every kind of genre in Germany. You just need to find these people who are just like, and they're like different magazines or different ways to reach them. So it really depends on the kind of music, which genre you're working with, and just pick the right strategy and just get the focus on the persons who are into that music.
And the whole festival thing is, we have two jazz festivals in Hamburg alone. One called Elb Jazz, and that's much broader range of music. It ranges from pop to kind of straight down jazz, but it's not like limited. And then we have Über Jazz, who is kind of at Shepherd's Palaces and it's like, this is more like a future version of jazz. They want to present it at Kampnagel at the end of every October. So you see there's even to a subgenre there are different subgenres, if you will. So you just have to see what kind of cupboard you want to jump into in lots of ways, or if there's some reaction from some promoters who have kind of an idea.
Another question, or maybe it's the same. Is this subject is the same about the genres and branding? That in Denmark, Scandinavia, maybe even, I feel that there's almost watertight partitions between genres. It's hard to sort of be a group that sort of mixes genres and plays yourself. We have few concert places to sort of deal in a wide variety. We have very few, and then there are government subsidized, which is of course nice, but it's still very few. So what is the general? Can you say anything general about that genre thinking in Germany? Are there a lot of places who are sort of open for different genres, or do you still have to sort of choose this is the genre, that kind of jazz or that kind of folk, or what? Is that possible to answer at all?
Yeah, yes and no. As I said, it's club-wise. Of course, you can have straight jazz clubs or something, and they're very kind of smallish run places. But when you play like the bigger places, I mean, this is obviously when you be able to sell 1,000 or more tickets. You can move up to the concert houses, and they are kind of open to anything. You just have Wilco, and next day you have Herbie Hancock or something. So it doesn't, But the small clubs that we're talking about, of course, it depends really on the vision of the owner of the club in lots of ways. If they kind of can create a trusty atmosphere to the customers, and they can present almost anything. We had Mo, the Danish artist everybody knows about. We had her on a Monday night, on a rainy Monday night, and I think in December. And normally in a club, kind of not in the middle of something, not on the St. Pauli Street. It was like a smallish thing, and we even had 90 people there. So it's normally it was a punk rock club, but she obviously isn't punk rock. I mean, she's got a punk rock background, but yeah, let's not get into this. But the music is basically not punk rock. Let's put it like this. And so people are open to go to certain places. And of course, if you have a hip hop or a club that kind of does hip hop, there's always an affinity to jazz in lots of ways. If it's not like traditional skiffle-y stuff. But so there is a crossover, but it really depends on it. This is where the promoter comes in once again, knowing the right people who are open to what it's just you listen to it and you immediately get ideas, and this is what is important. And you can it's very hard because we know people who just we immediately come into our minds when we listen to a certain kind of music, and we just talk to them and see if we can take it further from there. But if it doesn't happen. You have other people to ask or whatever, but you can't do it on your own, like without having anybody to ask. But of course, there are genres, but they're not kind of super limited. We have a club called Birdland. Of course, it's mostly jazz, but now I see indie bands playing there. So it's it opens up all over the place because nobody can fill up a week-long concert season. Over the week with strictly one kind of music. They all have to kind of mix and match, and the music is getting more diverse anyway, so you just don't have any like super genre sticky stuff.
That's good.
And probably also I guess a genre for one band, like okay, we belong to this genre, is probably also something negotiable. If you are in between, maybe the booking agent would be like, your audience is more or less an alternative, whatever you said, that kind of audience, right? Alternative rock, this and that, and then you were like, well, I thought we were jazz mixed with alternative or something like that. But I guess you can also take new directions. And
the Germans have a different view of things. Like I said, the Jim Jones Review are a great band. The Germans didn't think so. Just what can happen. Yeah. So it's the promoter will kind of know. Or it will probably know how to market things, and of course he will not do it without asking the band beforehand. But if the promoter has got some ideas, it might be in the favor of the band if they listen to that also.
Yeah. But at some point, I think you when it comes to PR, just like with magazines and radio, I think you have to make kind of a focus on the genre you're doing because you need to focus on the right magazines and on the right radio stations. You can't just like shout in the wood and just see if someone responds. You just need to find the right, and then the genre is very important. Just like to give just like an idea of the band. This is a band sounding like that. This is jazz music. Maybe there are sub-genres and you can use them, but at some point you need to decide which way you want to go.
And then when you start getting established there, you can spread out. You know, you're not limited automatically. So, but it's just like you take a position and you look from there what can happen.
Because people need to just like to understand your profile of the band. If it's just like we do this, and this, and it's okay, what is this band doing? I don't know. I don't get it. And even I know bands don't like to put like in these genres, but sometimes it helps just to get the listener on board.
Yeah, I was thinking about as a jazz musician in Denmark, it's a kind of booking or management is really hard because there's no money involved in it. How are the opportunities in Germany to actually have a booker working for a jazz school? I suppose money is not that big in Germany either. That's genre.
But there are agencies all over the place. I mean, not like thousands, but you have certain agencies, and so there is a chance of getting partners in, of course. Yes.
But there are, like what I know from jazz booking agencies, they're like the traditional ones who just really work with artists, and they are ones who ask for a certain fee you have to pay up front, and then they start working for you. Yeah, it's like that. I think this is just what I know just from some jazz agencies. So it's something you have to decide in the end if you just want to. But in the end, there are agencies who just you can pick and just find them for jazz.
That's good to hear because you described it as a very complex market to find your way around, and then it's a jazz musician ending up doing it all by yourself in the new country would be.
Yeah.
Now it's the same like with the audience for all these sub genres. There are also agencies or like who are working in this specific kind of for that kind of music. So it's not that there's just one agency and you have to, you know.
I think in general, I think I don't know, I'm gonna try out some conclusion to that, which is gonna be like if you want a long-term German career, then you will need a partner who can help you build it up in Germany. Otherwise, there's no way. But if you send an email to B-flat in Berlin and you get the PDF back 60% of the door, then fine, come and play. If you're fine with that, come and play. Of course, you can always do that on your own. But if you want to grow an audience and things like that, then you need to get out of that loop and into the loop of having a booking agent who can also see, because if you invest in investing and not really making any money in the beginning, that's the same for the booking agent. And he's also not making any money in the beginning. So
even taking risks.
And so it's so the build up, you're kind of in the same boat. And so both parts has to be interested in this build up. If it's just a matter of 1 tour, 7 days in Germany, you can actually buy these kind of tours in Berlin right now, where they promise you 7 concerts for €1,000, and you're just going to all the churches that are open. You're going to play there, but no one is going to do any PR. You're not building an audience. You're not doing anything, but you can sit at your hotel at night and then email back to or Facebook back to Denmark. Hey man, I'm on tour in Germany. It's killing it right now. We just played the Hanchi Kirche. And, but nothing is going to come out of it. So I think in terms of the Danish Vibes goal is that some long term is going to come out, and that's why we have the emphasis on the partner. And I think also that's what you guys are saying over and over. Like you need someone who can help you find the way in the market
because it's too big to figure it out.
Yeah, it's too big. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Over here.
I would like to ask about festivals because in Denmark, most of the festivals have a very wide array of genres.
Same in
None of
Germany.
them are very specialized. Is that the same thing in Germany, or do you have a lot more specialized festivals?
Yeah, there are specialized festivals, of course, but the main thing is probably pretty open, I'd say.
Yeah, it just depends on the promoter who's just what kind of profile he wants to have for his festival.
But it's everything is kind of possible. You just have Kulcha Candela playing with the Foo Fighters or whatever. It's then Interpol in between all the heights. It's just it's not like limited to certain things. Of course, you have sub-genre festivals that have to be limited because this is what sets them apart from the big ones. But the big ones are pretty much like everywhere else. You have Metallica in 1 year, and then the Foo Fighters the next, and then Metallica in the next, and then the Foo Fighters, and so on.
Since we're underground, I was thinking more about the smaller festivals because there's a tendency to, when you're a small festival, to be more specialized.
Yeah, especially for ska punk, there might be definitely more specialized things, but there are agencies, and there's actually quite a not a big scene, but it's happening in Germany in lots of ways. This kind of music, so you know, Rantanplan or Die Bazookas, and so the music is because they get the crowd going, and there is a market for that kind of music. Even at the big festivals, you might even get lucky and chuck in like a 12 o'clock slot on a bigger festival if you start out on the right way. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just want to know that you're sitting there as expert. Are there other people on board, or is it like you're the four being like making up Danish Vibes and the whole like work group around helping the bands that gets accepted into Danish Vibes?
Yeah, basically Danish Vibes is just me and Rikke.
Yeah.
And then we invite experts. So that can be, it depends on your material, what kind of expert you need.
Okay.
And it's about trying to figure out what's the weak spots and what's the strong points, and then getting some help to, just to improve everything, to make it as good as possible, and to have some kind of talking points as well once you meet and start to network with business people.
Who did you bring along, for example, for Offension when they were through Danish Vibes this past year?
Who we brought along?
Yeah, I mean to brought along, but who did you sort of who were the partners in Germany? Can you?
Yeah, well, Offension already has a German booking agent.
Yeah.
So it's so there's many. I don't know how much I can talk a little bit about it, but then there's a German booking agent, and they already have the German distribution of the records as well. So it's very much a matter of looking for areas that they want to improve on, and then figuring out how are we going to improve. And so they wanted to improve on the Carnival project with a choir, and they came in the door with an idea of bringing one of the most expensive choirs of Copenhagen. They seemed to be that choir was pretty interested if they could get their salary of I don't know how much more, the whole Danish Vibes budget or so. But so of course that was maybe not the best plan, and also it was a bad signal to give to German venues that buy this and be bankrupt for the rest of the year, or so. I don't know what the motto would be for that concert, but so instead we invented this idea that okay, what if you bring in a local choir? And that was something invented in the Danish Vibes.
That's a clever move, because you have like 20 people spreading the word that they have a show tonight, and then they will bring their parents or whoever might come along, and so it's much more of a talking point.
Yeah. What here is that you build on, for example, the venue, their existing network.
Yeah.
They have the agency, they have the label, and then
you
just add on top of that ideas, and you bring in ideas, and then you know some people. Also, when I'm specifically interested in the folk music market, of course, just to get an idea of your ideas and what you your knowledge about that market is not talking about jazz music and a little bit of it about indie, and so just to get a feeling.
Yes, and then also, I mean, the Pop-Up is also a partner for the showcase, and they will hunt down these people that need to see your band. Once we figure out their names, we're gonna hunt them down.
And they were quite, let them get this as a kind of a neutral person. There have been quite some familiar faces from the industry at the showcase, so it was a pretty popular setup.
I think they especially wanted to approach festivals, so we went specifically after festivals and found out which ones would be, and I think, I don't know.
Yeah, then you locate the festivals together
10
with around 10, yeah.
Okay. You sit together and do that work, or you tell this is the festival?
No, they're booking it because we're not gonna make the booking calls.
No.
So the booking agent has an idea about what festivals it is that we're talking about, and then basically the booking agent will tell, let's get these guys at the showcase, and then we're going to figure out how we're going to do that. What do we need to do in order to bring them in? They might be sitting in different kinds of Germany, and so then we're basically paying for that they're there at the showcase.
You go to the show as well and appear as like practical hands.
We are pretty practical.
Yeah, so you are the events, for example,
Oh, yeah.
showcase that just and
Yeah.
come and check out.
And then we go along to whatever Jess had or not Womex. Yeah, you were there, but yeah, sure. What was it?
We might add that we use sort of in the middle of the
during the year.
During the year, yeah, we use either the Spot Festival or Copenhagen Jazz Festival as a kind of show room for the bands who has been selected.
Especially Spot Festival is very popular in Germany.
Yeah. So and we bring in representatives from the jury to evaluate the bands live to see if there is room for improvement before the final showcase in Hamburg 6 months later.
And also the jury, so far it has only been world and jazz music who was part of the project, and so the jury was selected to have kind of knowledge about that. But this year, of course, we'll extend the jury with people who know specifically about folk music and the folk scene. And we'll of course work with the Rosa folk music, so they will help and open their network.
I'd like to know your feel of how a strategy would work. What part reviews and radio airplay and TV and festivals towards.
Forget radio and TV.
How does that work in Germany? If you want this, you need to have that first, or you have to,
It's difficult because a record company wants the band to have a booking agent, and the booking agent wants to have a record out because otherwise they can't work. It comes and it comes. You just need to talk to people, build a network, and see if someone's interested. And if these guys are interested, then they would just push other people and just to get you the right partners. And TV is really nothing to focus on in Germany. No.
What's kind of improving is we have kind of a bit growing is like overestimating it, but we have a small scene of internet radios like Byte FM, nationwide stations. They have they do kind of editors hours where one guy picks the choices he wants to play and kind of presents a band, and you can, if you're lucky and you get into that, you just have some airplay, but don't expect like sizing up the halls next time. It just it will just help to get on the market, and of course if the bigger radio stations will pick up, this will take quite a while. So this is not going easily.
But in the end, to get things started, you need a record and you need a proper release. Otherwise, no booking agent will start work and nothing will happen. And you can, like what Søren said, you can come to Germany and play 7 shows in a row, but it would be in the end just like for a bit of for nothing, because nothing happened, no one was invited, nothing really, there was no PR. And if you want to build a fan base and start to build a band, and you need more things happen and need people on board to push those things.
What is a proper release?
Just like a release, just like a record release date, just like with a music label and a distribution company on board.
You see it as a necessity that you bring in a label in Germany, or could you work from a label in Denmark, or how?
That also works. Yeah. Like some labels have their distribution contacts in Germany, but then it really makes sense just to hire an extern PR company just like to work on that album.
Just to this, you mean you're talking about physical distribution?
Yeah.
CDs are still 60% of the German music market. It's even more.
It's even more.
As I said, the Germans are true.
Now, 2 questions to Danish Vibes.
Okay.
We're working right now on creating music, which is a mix of our trio with the symphony orchestra.
and we'll be playing.
Of course, we'll pay for the orchestra. No?
After doing this tour, I'm of course interested in finding other symphony orchestras around Europe who could be interested in doing concerts with this. Can Danish Vibes be able to help with contact with symphony orchestras in Germany, or is it only jazz and world?
I mean, we can help with everything, but because of course there's a but I mean, I would say in general, anything classical has a very long, they schedule way ahead. So within the 1 year that Danish Vibes is taking place, probably everyone you call will already have scheduled their season, maybe a couple of years. Right now, for this year, there was a classical festival being very interested in 2 of our groups, and they're already scheduled for next year. So then then it's all a matter of when are they booking in 2016. And this would be even worse with the symphony orchestra, I'm sure. But of course you can find the people in charge of the symphony, but I would probably start pulling you in another direction. No, not me necessarily, but maybe one of the experts would start to pull you in a different direction of what other symphonies than the radio symphonies or whatever could be possible to work with. Or
the second question is that we have been actually been in Germany 10-15 times.
Okay, yeah.
A couple of years playing concert houses and playing family concerts. Pretty much sold out concerts for 500 people, and they have been contacting us. So I have no idea how things actually happened. But I have an idea that if people contact us, then there must be a market if we start contacting people.
Yeah.
That's more like family concerts and stuff like that.
What do you mean? Like
Danish Vibes be
3
able
o'clock?
to help with that kind of market?
I mean, the thing is, it depends on what the help is about, of course, because it's not that. Because then we'll look for a family concert booking agent. So it's not that. So I'm not really going to be booking anything, but it's going to be like, how is this market built up? What are the opportunities for this market? What is a family concert? Do they call it a family concert in Germany? Who's arranging it? Is it something that the churches are doing, or all this knowledge that we have to sort of gather together in order to figure out who are the key persons within this field, and then you'll probably get to meet these. But then if you say the wrong things, then we weren't able to help you. But if you say all the right things, and of course based on research, then we were able to help you.
What do you mean with family concerts? Like shows starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or?
Yeah, it could be 10 o'clock in the daytime, and it would be for parents with children all age. Or it could
And
be.
how much was the entrance fee, or were they free concerts?
No, I don't know what people pay to get in. We're just offered a fee to pay.
Okay, that's a
And-
comfortable position.
Yeah, but no. The question was because we talked so much about club venues.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe this is not.
That's a good
fitting
question.
into,
Yeah.
Danish Vibes, but-
I mean, for Danish Vibes, basically, once, well, of course, first of all, I wonder how it's going to fare through the jury, if the concept is like a kid's, if you start telling a fairy tale, and they might be, at this point, I don't know which one of the jury members would go like, I want these guys, once upon a time.
No, not.
But,
it's not children music. It's music
Yeah.
play at churches
Yeah.
as well. So it's not.
In general, I would say give it a shot.
Yeah, market, so it's like-
Yeah. So yeah, well, the impression that I want to come across to you is that it's a collaboration. So once you come in and say this is my strategy, then we'll start to work on that strategy and find the people and figure out the best way. But the end goal for me is that then you'll meet maybe the biggest family concert booker in Germany, and maybe you guys hook up, and that's what you're gonna do for the next 20 years of your life. You're just gonna do that every day, or as much as you want. That's the goal. That's the end goal of the Danish Vibes.
How is merch sales for these kind of small genres? I mean, I know it's huge for more popular, and it's an important part of the economics of the tour.
It is, yeah. Like merch sales will definitely help out just to finance the first tour, because like fees will be low. You have production costs for each day, so bring as much merch as you have and just try to sell it.
But people do buy.
People do buy, yeah.
Jazz concert.
If they like the music, they will buy it, yeah.
And the other thing is, if you have a travel party and you use probably to have a guitar tech, and then you have a drum tech, and then you have a string minder, and then you have a bass technician, try to like travel with the smallest group of people possible, because everything else will rack up just costs.
Just wondering about the time frame of booking jazz in Germany. In Denmark, you usually, it's small jazz clubs, they book for a year in advance or 2 years in advance. It's really hard to have a fresh party. What's the time frame in Denmark?
Roughly, it's about like 7 to 4 months or so. I mean, it depends on the name, obviously. And if you have certain jazz concert halls like Leishalle in Hamburg, it's very hard because they also act as a rehearsal space for the big symphony orchestra of the Northern German Radio Symphony Orchestra. So it's very hard to kind of get slots and work it in. That's what makes it more difficult than, let's say, they not wanting to have a band playing there. But roughly, it's like that. There, of course, it would be a super bad idea to choose probably like October or November to get on the market anew, because the market is flooded by then. And the same thing goes for like March to May or June, because then everybody's trying to tour. They are kind of the really high season things. When we just, for November alone, my company, who does like 350 shows a year in Hamburg alone, we just have like 50 shows in Hamburg in that month. And the competitors have the same amount, so you have like 150 shows only by popular music, and then you have jazz, and then you have everything surrounding. So it roughly sums up to like 400 shows. And the problem is to get heard through all that storm is the main task. It's really hard. We even have some kind of 4 shows in a row on one day in several venues, kind of cannibalizing our own market. But that's how it is. You just can't have it all. But yeah, normally it's if you have a proper time frame and it all kind of adds up, like release will be there at a certain time, and then you have later on you have the tour book. This all kind of could work together, yeah.
And it's the same for folk and indie music for venues. So it's like 47 months.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm considering going for it by myself, because I'm a piano player, singer, songwriter. So I'm used to doing it like that. So how do you? What are the chances there? Is that a good thing to come by yourself to entertain, or is it better that you have when you're in my genre, which is like a bit of singer-songwriting, a bit of blues and jazz and gospel and stuff, or is it better to come with a trio or something? With the drums and bass, you have some.
That's very hard to say.
But how do you see? Is it like? Is the possibility? Is my chances bigger coming alone, being cheap?
That's actually it's true. To make it possible, of course. Yeah. You probably all know the band Boy from Germany. Those two girls. They made it big and kind of all over the world. And what they did, they just figured out to play shows as a duo with 2 guitars and 2 girls singing. And whenever they had the feeling the market is up to it now and it would make financially sense, they just would bring the band. Whereas Germany, they did the same thing in Germany. They played kind of a couple of shows as a duo, and then they brought the band. So this is probably to sneak into it and make it possible. If the songs can kind of take that, of course.
So then I would need to find a partner that when I tell those genre types, what kind of clubs or festivals do you think of? Do you then think, well, since it's just a one man with a piano and a vocal, it needs to be in a jazz club, or it needs to be.
It's super hard to see without having heard the music.
Yeah, I know.
Because it would just be guessing out of the blue, and it would be all vague. I just would have to see it to have an idea, actually, really. And it's because otherwise it would just be, you know, like very generic information, and that would be repeating just what we told before. So it's very hard to say. Of course, there might be certain places, and I hear something in the music that you probably haven't noticed before or something, and so somebody could work on that. But there's no general rule except for what we said, because this is the problem of a big round like this. You just can't go too deep into details, or just to find certain solutions for specific kinds of music or artists. That's a problem.
And also in some ways you could say that what is the best way to go about this on the German market? I guess that's also the knowledge of your German partner.
Yes.
Like let's do it like this. You go alone, then you bring the band, then you do this and you do that. That's more or less up to your German partner to come up with these kind of answers. You just write some amazing songs, really, and then have Danish Vibes doing the branding and the strategy, and then things will work out.
You have any stories about the previous contestants, especially in my case in the jazz world? What have they gotten out of the collaboration with Danish Vibes?
Yes. Yeah. Let me think. So yeah, I only have 1 year to think back of, because it's too recent. It was just last week that we did the showcase. So, but for both things, it's immediately during the showcase and right after the showcase, there's always a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of interest, and a lot of what you could possibly call like positive surprise, or I didn't know that people in Denmark could play an instrument, or things like that. And so you have to sort of so then you have to work on more committing type, like how do we get from this point to people actually committing to something. And then for last year, we had two groups. One of the groups had decided beforehand that they were not willing to work on the terms of a German record deal, so they would just keep doing self-release. So they were only looking for a booker. And so by the time we left them on their own, they had meetings with 3 different booking agents. And then they also got a new Danish booking agent for Denmark on the bus ride home. So, but then after that again, they signed with this with one of these 3, and the first tour of that is going to be happening this December, because they also decided that they wanted to wait working till the new album came out, which just came out. So that's one of the groups. The other group was a group that came from wasn't quite as ready in terms of branding and basically everything except playing. It was fully ready in terms of playing, but a thing which is important to this group was also looking for a booking agent in terms of just not having the music available in Germany. If more than 60% of the music sold is CDs, then it's a really bad thing. Or not a bad thing, but it's an issue you need to approach if you are released by the Danish Musicians Union, because they're not looking for anyone to collaborate with in Germany. They're not looking for that. So if you go like, okay, I really need distribution in Germany, they might say, you already have it, you're on iTunes. But it doesn't matter if more than 60% are CDs, then those 60% don't care what you put on iTunes. That's not where they're looking. And so, so with this other group, it was a little harder, and I've kind of felt that this group learned a lot about the German market, and also learned a lot about what needs to be done, but didn't necessarily make the showcase into the right time at the right moment, because every time a German booker would figure out that their CD wasn't available in Germany, then they would also be looking at a very long road to actually making money, maybe more than 5 years, because first you need to figure out how to, you know, if I say, have you heard about Anders' new band, and no one can get your CD, then it's just a really long and difficult time. So it was a little harder with this other group, And then they called the largest promoter also in Germany right after and said, "Do you have do you have room for us in your roster?" And then it was just like, "No," and that was the end of that. So there would have been smarter strategies last year, but I think both the group and I think also Danish Vibes learned from this process of actually, because in the beginning you go with the feeling of something. I have the feeling that people at the industry, people at Jazz Ahead are responding negative to records released by the Danish Musicians Union, but I can't make a conclusion because it's always like if the music is strong enough, then it's going to go through no matter what. So I can't make a conclusion. But with this particular situation, I felt that maybe Danish Vibes should have made a conclusion and just say, go get a new label with distribution in Germany.
But that's not limited to Denmark. I have an Australian artist I do shows with called Tim Rogers from the band UMI. And the records are not released in Germany anymore. You could get them, but as imports. And I talked to the manager when I did some shows and said, yeah, what about some releases in Germany? And he said, yeah, well, you don't need a record company, and we got iTunes. And I said, yeah, well, you know, I don't know. And actually, this is the thing. You need a third partner who kind of takes care of that the product is getting into the papers. And the more people talking about the band, the more exposure you get. That's kind of a very simple thing to see. And that was a problem. So the promoter cannot do the work all alone with a completely unknown band. So you just have to get some other people in. And this is where the CD sales or a record company steps in. And this is what you need, because otherwise people might not. You need some. The same goes for a show. If your favorite band comes into town, you will know it because friends will tell you, and you just don't even need to see an ad or something like that. Or a Facebook invitation or whatever. But if you kind of stumble over an act you just might want to see, you just need to be reminded a couple of times to actually, yeah, let's go there. And that's where all the things come into play. You just need to put it all together. And of course you can do the soil work, but expect a punk rock level there. It's just like playing shows in small houses to kind of no one and hope for next time to double the figure. Just make it 2 people then.
I would like to know, what is it for you to have the CD available in Germany in that, because I just released 2 albums with one band that's out on a German label, and you can get the CD on Amazon, and they make sure that they are available in lots of places. And the other release I did myself, and used the distributor in England who made sure that it's on Amazon everywhere. What is it that, if you say the word, it needs to be available in Germany, is that fine that it's on Amazon in Germany, or what is it exactly you need?
No, the thing is that it's available in the shops, actually, in the smallest shops, because that's what happens. Amazon is kind of the same as the internet. If you don't know what you're looking for, you might not find it, because of course, due to your buying profile, it might be thrown at you all the time. But in the end, I think it's this. If you want to have a crowd going, you need to get the movers and shakers, as we call it in mock terms, to get into that. And that's what happens usually in record stores. People kind of playing music over the stereo. For example, I went into a vinyl store in Hamburg, and he played a band I'd totally forgotten about, and I just, wow, yeah, the Chrome Cranks, great, get me the record. And so I just bought it, and that wouldn't have happened if I would be staying there in front of the huge vinyl array. This is what you need, people who kind of look for new releases and play them in the shop and get interested and spread the word, because it's not only the label, but it's also, of course, the small shops doing stuff.
Yeah. I know that my German label did a lot to get it out on, all kinds of small shops, both in England and in Germany. And I know it's available out there, but from what I feel, I talked to the label guy about it, his connection towards the live scene in Germany. And he said, for me, there's no contact. I only know all these, small record stores that they usually buy what I send out, and I don't have any connection to the German live scene.
Yeah, solution to that is get a booker and do an afternoon show at the record store. I did that with Tex Perkins and Tim Rogers at Michelle Records. In Hamburg, they're kind of very popular they even have a stage, and they have the greatest amps you ever seen. To just have everything there, because the guy who runs it is kind of he's a music nerd. And what they do is they just invite bands. They do a promotion beforehand, like this band is playing on whatever, and they had like even big names in there, like what was it last famous thing they just had there? Was it
Nada Surf playing there?
Nada Surf. Lots of really famous bands playing there, just doing stripped down versions of their songs, and you don't get necessarily Nils Friebert, the German songwriter, played there, and my band played there, and you get like 60 to 70 people in there, and you sell the records afterwards, and the store people just get to know you, and if they like you and you have a new record out, they were like, do you want to do it again? Stuff like that. You know, this is you have to do some work, because it doesn't sell on its own without any. Michel Records. It's probably not the number one jazz thing, but it's the last person standing in Hamburg Coast, kind of record shop wise. We have lots of smallish ones. Or we had the Blues Explosion playing at Zardos Records, for example. The place was packed to the rafters, of course. And so it gives a nice connection. And so next time they put a record out, I think Andre, the guy who runs the shop, will be kind of putting it, I think, a bit more to the front. You know, this is how you build. It's in the end, to put it very simple, a live business that I work in. No matter how many machines you get in, no matter how popular the internet gets, in the end, it's a people's business. You have to know people who know people, and then can persuade people because people trust them. This is kind of the network you need as a very kind of common saying. And this is what it comes down to. You just have to win them over one by one.
It sounds like you are really like calculating a lot in physical records, CDs and vinyls.
Not necessarily.
Because what I think, well, here in Scandinavia, it's Spotify.
I know.
It's getting more and more in Germany.
And being on some like connected Spotify list where everybody says, "Oh, you like this? Maybe you should listen to that." It's in my
but that's
much stronger, but maybe it's different in Germany.
Yes. It is different. And Spotify is still getting, like, people are just getting more and more into it, but I don't know what the percentage, how many users they actually have, but it's still not comparable to Scandinavia.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Because people want to have things. They just want the physical stuff at home. This is how it works mostly.
And for the complete market, and that's what we said before, for agencies and for like the physical product, the release is still the tool you need to have to get things started. Like also magazines sometimes just say if the album is not physically released, we don't write a review about it because it's not a real release like the Germans.
That's really different,
Yeah.
because here it's
Maybe it will change in some years, but actually it's still that the Germans want to have the physical product, even if the sales are quite low, but it's still
And
needed.
What you need to have in mind is, as the German is that interesting to the whole world, you always have the phenomenons. We had the Arctic Monkeys when they just had the record out, they sold out Große Freiheit, but these are kind of very singular success stories you can have due to internet. And the funny thing is, what I come across in 20 years of business experience is what all the bands that have been internet hypes, they all end up with a record company, and they all end up with a booking agency, even though the success story started out from a garage in whatever, Jacksonville or whatever. And they all end up with physical releases for the German market. So it's not only relying on internet availability, not at all.
I have some questions from online. There's some people looking at you here. and the first one is from Anna Ludwig, and he has a question. Is my first album, Anna Ludwig's sextet, Voyagers, was released on the Faries label Tuttle Records, which has distribution in Germany. My question is it still a good idea to make the second album on Tuttle Records as a CD or vinyl in order to make it interesting for the German market, as opposed to only releasing it digitally?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
I guess it was to press 80 million.
Yeah, you just
copies,
can make a small amount of vinyls and CDs, and still vinyl is getting more and more popular again.
Yes.
So and it makes actually it makes the artist look a bit bigger if we've got vinyls and we've got CDs and we have got a digital, so it's like it's a complete package.
And you'll need it anyway for the merchandise later on after the show.
And then there's another question from Lil Lacy and the Traveling Tribes. One is, are there any specific things that you focus especially on in the application that would be good to be aware of? I guess that's for us. Or, well, it's for the jury, but...
Any specific things? There are some specific things, I guess. One of them is that you apply with the band you apply with. If you are selected, that's the band you're gonna play with. So you cannot apply with your Brazilian friends unless you have decided to bring them over for a showcase here and there, things like that. And also, your band has to be a band already. It cannot be a band that you are building up. At the moment, you have to have played live shows already, and you have to be a band. So yeah, those are two fundamental things.
And I guess the jury, I mean, if you have a video, it's a good thing.
You need to have MP3s, a video, good press release. You need to be extraordinary, personal. No, I don't know. No, you need to be a band. You need to have live shows already in the Danish market. What's that? Keep the bio short. Yeah.
And there's one more question, and Arnold says thank you. The band selected for playing the showcase, is it possible that they could suggest specific booking agencies that they would like to invite for the showcase too? As a showcase?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Everything that works will be brought into play.
Just a little bit here, the band that applies has to be the one that plays. I could say 2/3 would be there, the soloist. So there would be a guitar or a violin, depending on who's free when. That might change at any given time. Is it still possible to apply under those conditions?
I would say...
If it's part of the band, I don't know. Is it a little...
I'll lie.
I'm leaning towards...
You lie.
You should probably lie there. Because I'm leaning towards a no, I have to say. Why? Because if you're not the hand... I mean, if you're handing... I mean, parts of this...
It seems like he's band leader and maybe working with different musicians.
Yeah, I would also say if it's part of the concept of the band, well, yes, that's what you do. But it's mainly that we need to know that the band that you apply with it also, as I mean, what we hear, what the jury hears when you apply is also what's going to come out in the other end. Yeah. But sure, yeah, of course, your band could be like, okay, we have a new soloist every second time because that's what we do, or a new symphony orchestra.
I mean, there are many things. If you're applying with your trio featuring Sonny Rollins, then probably Sonny Rollins is also a big part why you are selected. And so if he cannot make it, you're not going to be selected. I mean, and you're not going to perform at the showcase because otherwise you would just make fun of the jury that we have, and we have some pretty good ones, you know. So it's so I mean, I also put my personal, my own personality at stake by saying, okay, you guys just selected someone playing with the hippest Blue Note artist in the US, your new album. I mean, if you're a jazz artist and we probably have 15 albums coming out with Aaron Parks because he was here for a couple of months, then Aaron Parks has to be there. There's no other way.
That's also an extreme situation where they...
Yeah, but I'm coming from a jazz background, so when somebody mentions a soloist to my ears, that's that's probably a pretty good guy that costs a lot of money, and you have to be willing to bring that guy because otherwise I don't know what you're signaling to the German market. You're kind of signaling well, I usually work with the great guys, but for you, I can just show up with this cat from Deutchland right now, or
Oh, this is quite the opposite, actually. I'd need to get a guy over from England if there was a German tour. It's just that I can't invite him over to Denmark where we play for nothing most of the time.
Okay. Well, just lie and see what happens. but in general, you get the general idea, I'm sure, about
Danish Vibes, is that an all year round organization working? Yes. Or just for this? It's working
Danish Vibes is working for Danish Vibes.
Yeah. Does that mean that you can have help all year round with, even if you're not selected here, we can call you and get some help in some way?
With something, it depends a little bit on what the help is, but with some things, try it out. Send us an email and let's see if we can help. But of course, the selected ones are the main priority, of course.
How much activity should you, over the year, what should you calculate with, working with this project?
Hours or concerts or?
No, just, are they like scheduled 8 weekends, or are there just on the fly? Just so we know how much approximately it takes for us to, how much do we need to throw into this?
As the band reserve time, you think?
Yeah. It's not just the showcase, of course. What else is it?
You can do, but I've just figured out, I'll make a, throughout the year, we start out, the band that's going to be selected, we started with a kind of kickoff 2 days where we meet and you get a lot of information and we talk about what is it that you want to do, and you start working on your strategy and things like that. And so that those are 2 days that you need to be here, and most of the bands, if possible. And then the showcase, if you want to play then, but so far this has been the only 2.
And then conferences.
And then there's some conferences and then showcases if you're going to play Spot, or if you're going to play the Copenhagen Jazz Festival, or if you're going to the Jazz Ahead or Womex or whatever. But it's not something like we said, you need to take out 4 weekends each half year or something like that. So
you do need to be very engaged in projects.
Yes.
Yeah, once you have the strategy, then you have to, of course, you follow it, and everyone is working around it. So it's very, very important that the whole band is following the same strategy, that the drummer is not trying to be famous with another group and get some connections through your band. It's pretty important that everyone follows the same path and follows the same strategy, and Danish Vibes is working around your strategy together with you, meaning that if you have shows that are already booked and you have figured out these 2 people, we just gotta get in contact with this label, and these 2 people are, then we'll call them up and invite them for the show and things like that. So it's all working. So it's like working together on something. It's not like it's not that you have to set aside 4 weekends and then this weekend we do this and then we're done. It's not so much. It's not so much like that. It feels like a more continuous thing. But we will see each other during the intro weekend. Then we'll have some email follow-ups. We'll start how is things going to work together with the strategy. Then we'll see each other next time, probably at some conference somewhere. We'll start to build up what of the people that we decided that were great for the group to meet, who's here right now, and let's set up some meetings, isn't that? And then you move towards the next thing, and then basically, hopefully by the time you meet people at the showcase, it's like, yeah, hey, how are you? It was great to see you this summer at the this and that. Thanks for coming to our show. Then that's pretty much how it works. So it's so the time put into it is basically time put into getting the network in place in order to get the partner for the German market. It's not hey Rasmus, here's the 2-week tour, here, take it. It's not so much like that, because if that's going to happen, that's going to happen with your partner, and it's going to happen after Danish Vibes is over. And that's the whole goal of Danish Vibes is to give you that partner to make that collaboration happen, so all the tours and all that stuff will come. So yeah.
From my view as a musician, with musician myself, we just had a program in the early 2000s. We have a city-funded rock musician help or counseling called Rock City, and they flew in. I think from the late 90s to the early 2000s, they flew in like 4 or 5 bands from Hamburg to South by Southwest Showcase Festival. And the thing is, what I've learned of that is, as a band, you need to do your homework, and you really need to kind of ask yourselves, do we really want to make that move? Do we really want to take all the efforts it takes to have a crack at the German market? Because it's a big thing, it's a big task. It's not something you just do, like in 2 weeks' time or something. You just have to really set your mind at it. And I think these guys can help you in lots of ways, but they can't do the work alone, of course. And the important part is the band. That's what I've been learning. All the bands that flew over to the South by Southwest Showcase, they just didn't have any agencies because nobody bothered to take care of that. And the same goes for Oracles. They just went over to CMJ, and they did some contacts during CMJ, but you have to do some work beforehand as well as a band, just to figure out probably what kind of bookers would be interested, what kind of agencies would be nice, just to get yourself a feeling anyway. And then they can help you out, but it's just not that you get kind of a present basket and you can pick out the nice parts. This is kind of a very important thing as a band, to focus on what you want to achieve, and be internally clear that you want to achieve this. The drummer might have some great ideas you haven't come up, and it all kind of plays together. That's important.
I have to say that we have to be out of here in like 5 minutes, or we have to be done in like 5 minutes. So, any last question or anything that Flemming or Lars would like to add from your sides?
I'd just like to add that a big part of this project is also connecting two markets, making the German market and the Danish market talk through these network meetings. So it's about promoting specific bands, but it's also about trying to make a lasting connection with the two markets. I think that's also important to state. That is also what this project is about. So that's also a larger goal in terms of trying to make a better connection as a whole.
Yeah.
I should like to add that we would like to see some, well, in contrast to the first 2 years, that the whole period starts out with a kind of a plan, written plan, and you can say it as kind of what is going to happen. It starts out with identifying the goals of the bands itself, what they want to achieve, and then how we are going to achieve these goals specifically in detail. So it's written down. So the tasks can vary. It might be 2 weeks intensive work for some bands, or something completely different. It very much depends on the goals which are formulated individually. And then we should include what should be expected or help from the project itself. The showcases in the middle of the period and so on. And so we hope to make it from the very beginning very specific what the band's goals are and what is going to take place during the project.
Just one practical question. Is it in America you got club nights where you have several acts playing like 25 minutes, and then not like that. It's a full evening, or it's not anymore.
It depends. The thing is, the German audience, whenever we try to set up little festival situations, it works in metal. But for example, we had Spoon on a Sunday night, and we had 2 support bands, and people were offended because they thought, yeah, maybe our time is kind of getting stolen. We want to see Spoon, and we don't want to sit through 2 support acts. So it's not something, it's genre depending how open they react. But there ain't too many talent nights.
No.
Last question. Anyone?
No, I should like to add that we expect a very active participation of the bands on them. And we for World Music Denmark has discussed this during previous projects, where when we started coaching bands, we used Henrik Master, you might know, as a band coach for Finching some years ago as a start. And we went into a discussion of what we call band psychology. What are everybody sort of in sync about what this goal is about? And is everybody participating in taking on the various tasks and contributing to achieving the goals of the band? So this has been very much on our minds for this project to be a success, because this, I mean, the bigger part of the money, even our own money, so to speak, are also coming from the state. So it's the state's money for this program as a whole, and we don't get more funding in our fields of music like folk, jazz, and world. We don't get better funding for anybody than for this program. And we have nothing. We are on the top level of what we can offer bands in the field of music export. So that's also why we feel we can ask you to get it more involved than you would otherwise be expected to be involved in other types of activities we are having.
Be involved. Okay. Thanks for coming. Thanks for playing. Thanks to Arne.